everybody, this is Troy Fullwood with Pinnacle Investments in the Propelio Academy, and I'm back here for another session. And I want to talk to you guys about marketing your property. Now, this is what I call one of the basic aspects of real estate notes. Now, why is that? Because it's right here when you fix up your property, now you're selling it, now you're getting ready to sell it. And now all of a sudden you got to make some decisions about how you're going to go about doing this. Now, let me just get this out of the way right up here, right front and center for everybody. I am a firm believer that if you can find a buyer that can buy your property with institutional money, B of A, Wells Fargo, Jim and Bob's, mortgage company down the street, doesn't matter. If you have a buyer that can go that route, I agree 110% that you should go that route. Okay, why? Because you don't have to take a discount on it. Now, unless you're just dead set on creating cash flow and that property is free and clear and you can create great cash flow, that would be a completely different conversation. But oftentimes people will ask me, hey, Troy, why should I do seller financing if I can get my buyer financed at the bank? I don't have an argument for it, and I'm not going to start one. So my advice is, if you've got that and that situation occurs, go do that. Okay, go do that. Now, if your intention is to say, hey, I'm selling this with seller financing, I want cash flow, I'm building my portfolio, then let's talk about that. That being said, here's the basics for that. And here's the core understanding that you want to take into your marketing material. The number one thing, you want to make sure your house is, ready to go. Okay, I think that kind of goes under the, no kidding column. At the same time, you want to make sure that you've now gone out and you have appraised the property, done a BPO, CMAs, or you've got a real estate realtor friend that's run comps on it. It doesn't matter how you get your comps, but to make sure that you've got comps, and that becomes your starting point. So if your house is worth $100,000, then sell it for $100,000. Don't sell it for $120,000, $110,000, $130,000. And I'll tell you why in a minute. I'll come back to that here in just a moment. But get it appraised, or run our BPO, or run a CMA on it. My advice, number one, would be to run an appraisal on it. Do a full appraisal. Now, I know there are a lot of you out there with alligator arms, and if you don't know what alligator arms are, those are the people with short arms that don't want to dig into their pockets. Okay, you're going to have to stretch a little bit here because this is going to cost you a few bucks. It might cost you $250, it might cost you $450. But at the end of the day, that $250, $450, I guarantee you will give you a better value to work off of on that property. Now, I've seen it be as much as $10,000 better value than a CMA or a BPO from a realtor. And that's a great starting point. I'd spend $450 all day long for an extra $10,000 in value in a property. Wouldn't you? That's a great return on our investment. So don't be afraid to do those things. So your starting price is whatever the value of that home is. Now, well, my brain was going to go a different direction, but we're not going there today. So your starting price is the value of your home. But the value of your home is from a professional appraiser, BPO second, realtor third, Zillow, those kinds of things, fourth, fifth, sixth. That's number one. Then you want to come behind, you want to do favorable terms. Now, oftentimes people will market and they'll go out there, and like I said in the last video, no money down, no credit check. We're not doing that, okay? We're not doing that at all. You do that kind of stuff, understand that train is going off a cliff. Okay, I think I covered that in the first 2 or 3 videos. That train is going to go right off the cliff. Now, it may not happen today, and you're like, hey, Troy, guess what I did? Okay, so you got away with it once. Kind of like my teenager. He gets away with a few things, and he thinks he's got it all figured out. But at the end of the day, he inevitably gets caught and gets grounded. So don't get caught, don't get grounded. Go out and make sure that your buyers have money down, and you want to make sure that you do pull their credit. But here's how you bring in a buyer. When you do your marketing piece. Now, let me just put this out there right out of the way. I don't care if you use Craigslist, MLS, Zillow. You got a kid, running up and down the street throwing out flyers. That's not what this session is really all about. What I want to talk to you about is what kind of terms are going to attract the best buyer for you. Okay, because the best buyer for you is also the best buyer for putting together the deal the best way. Okay, so you want to attract a buyer if you do, like, how do you say, Craigslist. Let's just use that as an example. You throw your pictures up, PIC, and you throw those up. That looks like PIE. Pictures up on Craigslist, and then down here you want to do your payment. Okay, and then you want to do your down payment. Okay, and then you want to let them know there's a credit check. Okay, now why is that? Well, number one, if people are going to try and buy your house and they don't want you to do a credit check on them, that's red flag number one. Okay, you don't want that. You're getting ready to hand over a six-figure asset, $100,000 house. You're ready to hand the keys to somebody and you don't know anything about them. So don't do that, okay? Don't do those kinds of things. So you want to make sure that, hey, we're going to pull credit. Okay, we're going to pull credit on you. And that, in turn, will be a filtering system for good quality buyers coming to you. Yeah, you may not have 50 people calling you, but you'll have 5 or 6 high-quality buyers calling you at the end of the day. You want to make sure you got the down payment. Down payment being 10%. You want to market it in that fashion. And then your payment, I would start off with a really simple, what I call vanilla, 30 years, at 7.5%, and that would be my payment. So 30 years at 7.5%. Let me look at my handy dandy deal. 360. Oh, that's too much. And payment's going to be $699.21. Okay. So $100,000 sales price, 10% down. I want to list in there. I would even list it in the header. Mortgage payment, $699.21. And then describe what is it? Well, it's 30-year terms at 7.5% interest. Down payment's 10. Yes, we're pulling your credit. But you understand where I'm going with this? This here starts to attract a buyer that already has read what you're expecting out of them. So you've already established the boundaries with that buyer. So you're going to get 2 or 3 buyers coming to you. They already know what the terms are. They already know what the agreement's going to look like. And therefore, I should stand over this side. Therefore, you're not having to re-explain yourself. The other thing I would do is this little known trick called an open house. Okay? Okay, I would hold an open house. Now, somebody's saying, well, my realtor does that. I don't do those kinds of things. I'm too busy. I got fishing to do. I got to, my buddies are going out on a boat. I'm going to go snow skiing. Okay, that's fine. But you hold an open house, if you want to hire your assistant to do it, tell your assistant to do it, tell you've got a realtor that's representing your house, all those things are okay. But hold an open house and that will bring in more buyers. Hopefully, it starts somewhat of a buyer bidding war, not necessarily a bidding war as in driving up the price, but more as, hey, I want to buy your house. And they fill out what's called a 1003. Where's my red one? No red. All right, that's a good thing. A 1003. Now, what is a 1003? 1003 is really simple. It's a application, credit form application, used by HUD, used by the federal government to collect data on any buyer that's looking for a loan. If you've ever bought a house, or a car, chances are you filled out a 1003 at your bank or your lender, whoever it was that you borrowed money from. Now, why do they call it a 1003? I have no earthly idea. I have no earthly idea why they call it a 1003. And you'll notice it's in the bottom right-hand corner. Somebody figured it out, called it that, and it's what stuck. You have your buyers fill out 1003s at the open house. Then you run their credit, and then you pick the best buyer based on credit, based on down payment, based on terms. Okay. Now, some of you may be saying, well, Troy, I don't want to sell my house at 7.5% rate. Great, move it up to 8. Move it up to 9 if you want to. My point being is that when you're marketing a house with seller financing, have the odds work in your favor. Have the odds work in your favor in a way that brings people to you so that you can make an educated decision about which one you're going to turn the keys over to. Because keep in mind, you've already bought the house, you've already brought in your private money investors, you've already paid your interest on those loans or it's accumulated, you've already charged up your Home Depot credit cards and your Lowe's credit cards fixing up the house, you've already paid subs out of pocket. Now, you want to make sure that you're marketing this house and finding the right buyer that's going to bring not only a quality buyer in the beginning, but also be a quality buyer when you go to sell that particular note, when and if you choose to do so. Okay? One of the things that is critical about real estate notes, and oftentimes when I talk to professional real estate investors, is they say, oh, Troy, I'm never selling my notes. Oh, really? Nope, never selling them. Okay, I respect where you're coming from. I understand where you're coming from. But here's the truth. We all live this thing called life. Everybody's life does the same thing. It has these things called seasons, and the seasons kind of go like this. Okay, we got mountaintops and we got valleys in every season that we live in everybody's life. They may be on the mountaintop today. I'm not selling my note. All of a sudden something happens. Okay, I need to sell my note. So having a good quality deal put together makes this point in time much, much more, how do you say, simplified, easier, more pleasant to work with. If you don't, then you end up with this trying time becomes even that much more tough, that much more, how do you say, challenging as a whole. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. Every single deal that we do, that on houses that we bought, houses that we carried back paper on, every single deal is done the same exact way that I'm telling you. Why? Because I want to keep my notes forever. But I also know that there's this other thing called life, and that there's mountaintops and there's valleys, and that when I hit valleys, I need to probably sell a few notes to replenish cash or to pay off investors or whatever I need to do, whatever my responsibilities require me to do, and continue to stay in the game, to stay in the hunt. If I don't do those things, then the wheels will really come off, and therefore I'm going to run into all kinds of other challenges and issues that I don't really want to contend with. So your marketing, your picture, your down payment, your credit, do it through an open house, market with, how do you say, payments. Hey, the payment's going to be $699.21. Now, here's why. When you look at people in America, the majority of us, okay, I'm going to say the majority of Americans are what we call payment buyers in the financial world. Okay, we're payment buyers. So we'll look at something and you'll see this like in automotive ads. Hey, 36-month lease for $129 a month for a Toyota whatever. Well, that being said, that ultimately is what attracts buyers into that dealership. Now, that's a good thing for the dealership, but the dealership still has a financial responsibility and a fiduciary responsibility to now, how do you say, interview / underwrite / pull the borrower's credit to find out if that borrower can afford the $130 some odd a month. But it's used to attract people in the door. You see it all the time. You see it during Black Friday. Okay, Black Friday, I guarantee you this year, Walmart's going to have another 4 laptops on sale for $99. And there's going to be 1,000 people outside the front door trying to get in for 4 laptops. But we're going to trample over each other because we don't get a laptop. We're going for the 55-inch color television for $150. That's what we're going to go for. That's my backup plan. So that being said, we know that. Okay, we're creatures of habit. So if we know that we're creatures of habit, attract people that are like, hey, I can afford $699. I make $3,000 a year. $699 is less than what I'm paying in rent. This is my deal. Now all of a sudden you're attracted. You understand how that works collectively together. Okay, so you do your marketing accordingly. Okay, one of the things that is, and you really want to pay attention to this because you have a fiduciary responsibility to your buyer, and you also have a fiduciary responsibility to yourself. At the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're making sure that everything, your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed, or as I like to say, your I's are crossed, your T's are dotted type thing. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure that these things are in place. If you don't, okay, let me tell you, if you don't, you're going to bring your note to me, and I'm going to do my due diligence on it, and I'm going to say, you know that $90,000 note you brought to me, it's only worth $45,000 to me. Well, why is it only worth $45,000? Well, you never got a 1003 on them. You never pulled credit on them. You financed it at 4% interest rate on 30 years. I've even seen seller financing at 40 years. So it gets really crazy then. You didn't close through a title company. You don't have a title policy. All of these ingredients that go into it. Because keep in mind, this here is banking 101. This here is banking 101. Now I know one of the things that the real estate community hates is bankers. Why? Because they're the big 10,000-pound gorilla in the room and they're the evil person. They're not the evil person. We just don't like being inconvenienced. And we don't know what the bankers really want. We don't know how to get them what they really want. And therefore we fight it tooth and nail. So we kind of figured out, well, we'll just go do it on our own, which is okay, but doing it on your own wrong is worse than doing it with a banker right as a whole. Okay, so that being said, this is how you set up your marketing. So I didn't put a picture in here because you guys can take a picture of a house. This isn't Ansel Adams, photography 101. You guys can handle that. The new iPhone's out. It's got great pixels, all that fun stuff. So you go do your thing. But these are the basics that you want to have in it. Would I throw other things in there? Yeah, I'd throw in, newly remodeled, new roof, new tile, new carpet, new appliances. I would definitely write all those things out. But I'm just looking at the numbers for you guys. So that being said, thank you so much for spending the last few moments with me here at Podelio Academy. Sorry about that. We'll see you guys on the next episode. All right, take care.